Welcome back to Beyond the Nest. We're excited to have some of our really, really good friends, which we don't hang out with ever. Just kidding. We are reconnecting here, but the reason they're on this show is because they have got one of the most amazing stories as far as some God stories, which we'll just touch on briefly, but we'll put a link in the show notes for you to be able to go and hear their whole story because it is flat out amazing. But what I want them to share on this show is how have they done such a masterful job of transitioning from having a household full of teenagers into young adults that they have just amazing relationships with. We'll get into some of the stories that they've shared with us. I think you're going to be intrigued and blown away at the intentionality that this couple shows. Today we have with us Aaron and Jen Sanders. Welcome to Beyond the Nest.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And I think they'll be somewhat entertained.
If Aaron cuts loose.
That we will be entertained or that
the
audience?
audience. Yes.
Jen is like, she's just a party waiting to happen. She's always fun. Aaron, we got to get him out of his stuff.
I have to have a primer.
You do.
Which is me.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's our dynamic. That's it.
So before we get into some of the stories that I just can't wait for people to hear and how you got to this amazing relationship with your kids, let's go back in time to how did you guys meet? What was it like? I know we'll talk just briefly about your corporate role before we walk the journey forward, but let's first hear, how did you guys meet?
So I can start that because it's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
So I had played the field in high school and did all those things and decided, you know what, I'm going to commit my life to clean living and go to a Bible college and dedicate my life to just pursuing God. And that lasted for probably 3 months in the Bible college. And the reason it lasted only 3 months is because I on a Friday night, I was running late for this event. So the college students at this Bible school, there's a K through 12 there too. And the K through 12 would have some kind of party on Friday nights. And usually it's the college students that would go and do some part of that event.
Be our entertainment.
Yeah, we were kind of entertainment. Actually, yeah, there's a whole nother story of what that entertainment was. But that night I walked in and from the back of this gymnasium to the front, and I only saw her from the shoulder up, and I hit the guy next to me and I said, I'm going to marry that girl right there. And so from then on, I always say that I have been for now almost 28 years trying to convince her that she loves me. But I loved her from that first moment. It was just, I just knew that's my person.
What was it about her? Did you see her? Was it her face?
It wasn't like, I always say, it was from her shoulder up because I didn't see the rest. I mean, like the rest was awesome to me at that time. Like, and is still to this day is awesome to me.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is a podcast about empty nest, which means at one point we had a nest, right?
Yeah,
so, this is where that primer, I get a little bit unhinged, and that's all right.
It's good.
But no, I just knew. It's sometimes there's just a knowing that you have, and that this happens in business things and in parts of my life that are critical and important. I just know this is what I'm supposed to do.
I'm a knower too.
Yeah.
Like and at first I didn't like that spiritual gift because it's not as fun as being like a seer or a hearer.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Well, it kind of comes with a downside too, because you see things that other people don't, and then it's frustrating watching them. You say something and they're like, no, that's not what it is. And then 6-8 months later, you're like, oh, that's
because everyone in my family, the knowing doesn't work unless I carry data with it.
Yeah.
I'm not a data person to support it. I just know certain things, and that doesn't always work well. But yes, from one fellow knower to another.
So thank you.
Yeah. See, we are related.
Yeah, right?
More proof.
More proof.
So your version of that story.
Okay. So my version is I was at that with another guy. I was at that event with another guy.
Familiar?
And I actually had a friend that had a crush on Aaron, and I had never met him before. And so we were all, do you remember the Lorraine and Bobbitt story?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that had died out a little bit, I guess, by then. But for whatever reason, we were talking about that. And this girl saw that as the opportunity to bring Aaron into the conversation.
Which apparently I'm an expert on that stuff. I don't know why I was invited.
So she's like, let's ask Aaron. And so she brought Aaron over, and he ended up coming and standing right. He probably did that purposely, but he stood right next to me. And so our first conversation was about Lorena Bobbitt and what she did with,
Yeah.
Okay.
what
This took a
happened,
turn.
like where did it go?
It did.
Entertaining.
I
was
Very.
not wrong.
I did not know that part of the story.
But it was darling because he was very quiet and answered questions, but he did not have any other kind of commentary. He just stood there very quietly, and I thought, he's darling. Like, he's a really good looking guy.
Oh,
I thought he was cute, but I was there with someone else, so I just clocked, oh, he's cute.
Yeah.
And away we went.
Your friend that had the crush on him, are you guys still friends?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was, no.
So Aaron's the one that got away for someone out
For
there.
someone else.
For someone else,
Yeah.
yeah. But that night, I think you left with my jacket, which was a thing.
No, not that night.
I think it was.
No, it wasn't.
You might.
I know for sure it
know.
wasn't.
I don't- Yeah, that's right.
I know for sure it wasn't.
Oh.
It was a snow day at school.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
All right. So from the time that y'all met to the time you got married, and then we're going to transition.
So we met October. It was like October 25th, 26th, somewhere in there. By Christmas, we knew we were going to get married, but he wanted to propose on Valentine's Day, but couldn't because there were rules at college about freshmen not being able to be engaged,
Especially to K through 12 students.
especially to a junior in high school.
Oh, wow.
You were
And
17.
I was 17 when
and
we
he
met.
was
18.
19. Okay.
18 when we
18,
met.
okay.
Yeah. So by April, he didn't care and he proposed to me anyway. And because he was like, I'm done with school in a month and I'm not going back.
You can, Lance, you know
Yeah.
my personality. And when religious things start, I have a lot of questions about religious things.
Yeah.
And that apparently Bible college is not the place to ask a lot of questions
Yeah,
that
probably
don't
not.
line up, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so I was more like, I'm out of here. So let's just ask.
Yeah. So we were engaged in April officially and then got married. So we met in October of 96 and we're married in February of 98.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
A decent little bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably that long though, just because we were children.
Yes.
you were.
Yes.
You know, otherwise we
Yeah.
probably would have gotten married.
Yeah.
6 months after meeting
But this
each
is
other.
what, like the mindset, even like this would be helpful for people to understand going forward. We had some premarital counseling and we went to one session. And in that session, it was the entire time the counselors were talking about how terrible that first year of marriage is going to be for you.
Oh.
And you're going to have to really flex with, and I'm sure what they were doing now in hindsight, they were projecting their first experience onto us. But I'll never forget, we left there, we got in the car out afterwards, and I said to her, let's never come back here. We're not doing any more of these sessions. And from this point forward, let's just commit that every day is going to be better than the day before.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be good.
Yeah.
So as naive as we were, that's the line we drew in the sand.
Yeah.
And that's how our marriage goes. And that's how our time with our kids went too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I love
not that,
that.
it's not ever difficult. Like we're not that delusional that we're like, oh, marriage isn't difficult or, you know, life's not difficult.
I know.
But we just aren't looking for, there's just such a difference when you're waiting for that fight, when you're waiting for that to be the worst year
What's
ever.
your expectation?
Right.
Yeah. So then that's what you see.
Yes.
And so,
and I want to
just
be clear too. I'm not
choose to
saying
not
that,
do that.
premarital counseling is not a good thing.
It is. a
I'm
good
saying
thing,
it
yeah.
is
I
a
know.
very good thing, but choose wisely who you're going to allow to speak into your life,
Yes.
especially when it dictates your family and the direction moving forward. I think
And
that-
especially at the age you guys were, like you're very impressionable
Yes.
at 18 years
Yeah.
old, and it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
it's like when you're pregnant, everybody wants to tell you their worst birthing story.
Yes.
Yeah.
To
And I remember
prepare you.
thinking,
Yeah.
why are you telling me this? Like that's awful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like
The unfortunate thing is, I don't know that I was ever terribly impressionable. I think I've been old for a long time.
He
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's the other miracle of us being together is that he's been old
yeah,
since he was
Yeah.
12.
her friends would
Yeah.
say, "Is the old man going out when we're going to go out and do something?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Is the old man going to come too?" And,
Yeah.
and I'm 19. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, yeah.
Everybody thought he robbed the cradle because he acted so old. They thought he was like 27.
Well, yeah, because I show up at Bible college and I'm only 18, but I've got my car paid off and all of this stuff, you know, and I've got a sports car that's really nice.
Yeah.
But
And wore a cardigan.
yeah, I wore a cardigan and probably no. Back in the day, it was the sweater vest. You remember
yeah,
those?
or the
Sweater
suede vest, the
Oh
leather
yeah,
suede
that's
vest.
what it was, and
Yeah.
like a silk
He was a
shirt and all
hottie.
that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that I have been old for a really long
Yeah.
time, and so I embrace it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the white hair now, which people
Mhm.
will expect less
Yes.
of me as I get older.
Yes.
Wrong.
Oh,
Wrong. All right. you had a pretty high profile corporate job
Right.
for a while.
Yep.
And what would be and you volunteered at a church.
Right.
And I know that you had some interesting conversations about the religious side of any organizations, but
Right.
What was a typical day between the corporate and the volunteering?
So that's actually the crux of some of the changes that bring about that story that you referenced and said in the show notes where they can listen to our story. But the real challenge for me was I loved the corporate world because they valued the gifts that I have. So this old man that we talk about, the reality is that means that somebody who is methodical, not whims, not flying off the handle. I'm very dependable and steady, right? It's that corporate model.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that environment. I thrived in that environment. But at the same time, there was this pull between, like, when I was raised from a religious standpoint, church activities were like the sanctioned God things. And my life where I've thrived was not, Holy Spirit was wild over here at this church thing and do all these things. And I was very straight laced. And so I didn't feel like I fit in those. And one of the challenges was, as I'm stepping up through the corporate ladder, when I started, there's another guy that started right alongside me. And both of us had got promotions about the same time. He was an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always recruiting me to do things like, hey, we're going to go do a
Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels. Yeah, that was a delivery downtown St. Paul, Minnesota, where we were, and recruited me to invest into college-age students who are about to graduate. And he was always doing something community-driven. And then the only thing I did was this church outlet that I don't know that moved the needle as much as this atheist, but both of us were stepping up through. And I started asking myself, man, this guy does the exact same thing, actually better community things than I do, but I give God credit for all of my advancements and he doesn't. So it started asking me the question, like, where's my faith at in all of this? And that was kind of a wrestle that ultimately led to me asking some real serious questions that you can check out our story for that. But
Yeah.
What's interesting to me, though, is even in that, when he was in the corporate world, he functions as a pastor. So, like, he has a pastoral gifting, even though he really has a corporate gifting as well, like a business gifting. But they would give him the problem people because he transformed them.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to see, he just knew what their gifting
Mm-hmm.
was, and he was able to place them in the right spot to make them valuable employees. And so he was constantly getting the outcasts,
Mm-hmm.
and he would create great, valuable employees.
He
from
could
doing
mine the
that.
gold in people.
Yeah.
well, I think it's one of those things. I teased Jen and said I was more fun back then, but the reality is I was, in hindsight, I was pastoring people or fathering people, and I didn't really have language for it,
Mm-hmm.
but I would do silly things. I mean, you're talking about the transactions that one group of my staff were running would be $500 million in a day. And now you're hitting the stock market with that money. And if it fails, you have to process that the next day at the previous day's market. And that might make you some money and it might lose you some money. So it was high pressure. But people would come into my office and I had a gong in there. So like if somebody asked one of the questions, they could hit the gong and do that. But I would, especially if it was intense, I would say, hold on a minute. They'd start their question, their issue. And I would say, hold on a minute. You know how to start it. And then they'd be like, oh, once upon a time. Then they would tell me what their story is. I always had them tell me the once upon a time
Yeah.
piece because it brings the tension level down. Like,
Yeah.
let's just tell this story. We don't need all that. And so that was kind of what Jen's talking about and why I got so many people. And that caused promotions to happen afterwards because eventually you've got a problem department though. Oh,
Yeah.
give that problem department over to Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And I did stuff like that. That was more, in hindsight, it was more parenting or pastoring
Mhm.
than what I would consider traditional leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's good. What did your days look like?
Babies.
Okay.
Yes. We had 4 kids pretty early on, 4 kids in 6 years. And so, but then I was the worship leader at our church. And so we'd do tag team. And so I was home with the babies. And then on church days, I would leave about an hour early and go over and start practicing. And then he'd pack up all the kids and come afterward and then sit with the kids during service. And this was when I was nursing the babies and they were needing diaper changes and all that, because they're close in age. So he was dealing with all that. Now, my parents and my sisters and other family went to the church too. So he had a little bit of help, but otherwise he was single parenting during those moments. And then as they would get a little bit older, we'd just all go over there. I'd bring the kids if he needed to do something, and they'd just run around the church while I practiced and got ready for the services and stuff. So
yeah, that sounds noble, but the reality is, though, especially the older I've gotten, I realize that I've got some sensory issues that cause me problems in large crowds. So this excuse to go take care of the kids in those settings was actually, I mean, it sounds noble, but the reality is, in hindsight, it was me
you were getting out of
protecting myself from things that I didn't even know.
And you had to. I mean, somebody needed to be watching over them.
So how long had you been married before you had your first baby?
Almost 2 years.
Okay.
Just shy of 2 years before Alex was born.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I was 26 by the time we had all four of them, I was 26.
Similar, because I think I was 27 when we'd had
finished
just three.
Yeah.
You went on to have a fourth.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So how long were you in the corporate world? And then the transition here to Tennessee is one of the most amazing, almost far-fetched God stories. I mean, if I didn't know you personally, I would be listening to the story and thinking,
there's no way that can be true.
What's wrong with him?
Right.
Well, me? What's wrong with him?
So how long were you at corporate? And I know we can't get into the full story, but if you can give a little bit of a teaser, we'll put the full story into show notes, because that transition is just flat out amazing. But I want to get to the point where your parenting style, what you did at the corporate level. So many times we've talked before, a lot of culture puts so much more emphasis on leadership at the corporate level than they do at home.
Right.
And so you guys have just done such an amazing job of both
Thank you.
and being intentional. But I would love to hear a little bit about this transition.
Yeah. So I spent 16 years in the corporate world at some level. And it's hard to go into the transition without sounding completely crazy. But ultimately, it came back to that conundrum that I mentioned earlier with, there's this friend of mine who's an atheist, but he's actually moving what I would consider in the kingdom of heaven, doing great kingdom things, but he's not giving God credit for it, which caused me to first just start asking the question, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing all of this? And because of that sensory issue, I also didn't have a sacred cow around the gathering of believers on a Sunday. And ultimately, I look back and it's because it was sensory, it was hurting me. So I didn't develop a defense relationship with that gathering. So that led me to just ask a lot of questions that were not confined to religion or religious expression. And I started really asking myself, look, I'm going to look in the Bible and see what God was doing and what his disciples were doing. And I want to do something like that. And when I started comparing that to my Christian life, I found, wait a minute, I give God a lot of credit for things and talk a lot about God, but I'm not really having expression that is biblically God. And that led me down a path of saying, I want that. I will give up everything to have a real, authentic relationship with God. And that's the birth of that story.
Yeah. And the whole time we'd been married, we felt like we were not going to stay in Wisconsin anyway. Like he speaks French, and we thought we'd be missionaries to the Ivory Coast or somewhere in Africa, French speaking Africa. And then his parents lived in Illinois. So then for a while we thought once we started having kids, we're like, oh, we didn't feel called to bring kids on the mission field. I know some people do, but we were like, I don't think that's what we're supposed to do. So then we thought, well, maybe it's Illinois. And then that never felt right. And so there was just always this knowing that at some point we were going to be doing something. But one of the pivotal points for us was we'd had a workout buddy that was not a believer, and he had some very, very serious drug issues and health issues, and it was a bad combination. And he had a really bad experience, and he had to go see him in the hospital. Well, this was a Sunday. And we used to have 2 services on Sunday. We'd have a Sunday morning and a Sunday night. So he went on Sunday afternoon. Well, he leaves him early because he has to get back to church on Sunday night. And as he was driving to the church, our church was in a residential area. It was just like right in the middle of a bunch of houses. And as he was driving through the houses, God just challenged him. Like, if I asked you to stop right now, would you stop? Would you give up this Sunday night thing you're supposed to be at to talk to one of my kids? And so that really got us. Like, we were so in the habit of doing this thing that we were not listening to the every moment, to the Holy Spirit of, what do you want me to do? And so we thought, what does getting out of the routine look like? What does it look like to just follow what he wants? And so we used to do Tuesday night family meetings. Every Tuesday night was family meeting night, and everybody could talk about just whatever the thing was.
This is just you guys and your kids.
Yeah. And so,
and
whatever.
We did it kind of formal because we wanted the kids to feel like, man, we're in a business meeting.
Yeah,
well,
and they care. Yeah, and it's what he liked. Yeah,
anyway,
but they were able to bring forward their grievances and, just,
I love that.
as little kids, just whatever the thing is that's unjust. And
letting them have a voice.
Yes.
We talked about this too on our last podcast.
Yes.
Our youngest son, actually, it was one of those, like those moments where he was like, I would like to use my internet time. Because that was the thing, it was internet.
They only got a little bit of
computer time. And he wanted to use that to search for a new family because he had fallen when he was going up the stairs and his mom laughed at him. So that was the moment where
he needed a new mom.
He needed a new mom.
Was this Alex?
No, it was Max.
Oh my goodness.
He was so offended.
Yeah.
So
offended.
So this is what family meetings covered, all very important things like new moms.
Yeah.
And
then we have to vote on that. Let's vote on his internet time to find.
Well, we let him. Yeah. We were like, sure.
Go ahead.
Go. Well, Max is the one coming to stay with us during the storm.
Yes.
So all is well. He loves his mama.
Yeah.
All is well.
But you know what I love about that too is you get so much insight into your kids. Like that right there tells me so much about his little personality.
Yep.
Even at that age, like that's a sensitive boy. Like you don't, like we don't know what to do with sensitive boys. Like you know,
don't laugh when they fall.
Like if you know that, I don't know. You miss so much if you don't stop, have the meaning, give them a voice.
Yeah. Even
if that clearly was wrong. Like he's not going to find a new mom, but.
Well, and the strategy around that, this was the challenge, right? Boys are an interesting group.
Yes, they are.
I always say I'm so glad that we had the 3 boys and then the girl, because I would have been, if I had the girl first, I would have been convinced these boys were broken because I asked my daughter, hey, what happened at school today? 45 minutes later, we're almost at lunch. Like she's still telling me all the details. And the boys, you're like, hey, what happened today? No,
they grunt.
It was good. It was okay. So I started asking questions like, hey, who stunk today? What did you smell today? I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. That's all. You get a whole story out of that because somebody stunk or somebody, what happened that was embarrassing for somebody? They'll tell you those stories.
Yeah.
So strategies around how do you get them to talk and open up, because it's so important. If they don't talk that way, you're never going to know their personality. And sometimes I think as parents, we just default and assume they are little us. And they're just going to act like we do. But the reality is they are so different.
They're their own people.
Yeah.
But this is my favorite part. And this is what I try to, even now, when I interact with my kids, if I'm going to give them some encouragement, I always find a part of their mom that is really amazing and a part of me. And I said that you have combined the two. Like, I struggle and I need your mom to knock this part off and she needs that help, but you don't need that. You've got both of those, that balance, and trying to speak that you are us, but you have combined it in a beautiful way.
Yes.
And empowering them to just take it to another level. Because we are not perfect. That's why we got together, but we made something that is the perfect best of us.
Yeah.
And then they're going to find that spouse that's going to be the perfect best of them. So.
That's beautiful. I love that.
See, I still love you. I'm still trying.
I'll try to get over you saying I'm not perfect. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well,
whatever.
That was
saying you're not perfect.
Well, he kind of just said it, but that's okay. Carry on.
How would you give kind of an infomercial for people to go watch the full version of the story.
Wow, an infomercial.
You got 5 seconds.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, you're going to link it in the show
Put it on
notes.
there.
Okay.
Tears, please.
If I were to if I were to give an infomercial on it, I would say, what if you just said 100% yes to that feeling that is God in your life, and if you're gonna pursue God with everything you got, what would that look like?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did, and we just trusted that He had our back, not because we could see that He had our back, but what is faith, and
Yeah.
what does that look like? And if you want to see what that looks like, walked out
Yeah.
in a family with 4 kids and living in a Mazda MPV, there's your little hook. You could go.
Mazda
Yeah.
MPV. That's a minivan.
It's it's the miniest of minivans.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and we
Yep.
lived in that
Because I didn't want a minivan, but
What is it? 662
days. Yep.
You, as a family of 6,
Yeah.
lived in a van.
Yeah.
Down by the river eating government cheese.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
You lived in the
Yes.
van for 662 days.
Right.
Now, God's not going to ask everyone to go do that.
Correct.
Right?
No.
So I don't want people to be afraid. I'm not
No.
asking him
Oh,
anymore.
I got to go live in a van.
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah,
I think that-
that's how I hear the Lord.
I
Yeah.
think that's important too. That's why it's so good that you ask the questions like, who is Aaron? There are some people who are very much fly by the seat of their pants, and they would do that. I know people that if they said they did that, I would be like, oh yeah, that's what
I
they
can see
do.
That
that.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent 16 years in the corporate life. I always say this, that my kids are 2 years apart because I like spreadsheets and I do spreadsheets before I spreadsheets. So
There we go.
I don't know if this is, it can be rated
Hey, we can
that
talk
way
about
or not.
anything. It's
Yeah,
okay.
It's empty nest. It's the nest, right?
That's right.
That's the
That's
piece.
right. And not everyone's going to get that.
No, it's okay.
It's just
No,
gonna
that's
go
right.
right
It's
over
just one
there.
right
Yeah,
over,
that's
and
all
that's
right.
okay. That's
That's
But
okay.
the more we deliberate on it, people are going to.
You're right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's true. So let's move on.
Yeah.
My point is that some of that stuff is not most of that is not my personality. But when I knew that this is what God had for us, and it's important too. Once again, these family meetings that we had, that was where our kids were all involved in that
Yep.
too.
Mhm.
There was, and actually and you'll hear this if you listen to the story, to my frustration, the kids were involved. And the reason for that is because their faith was full. They were like,
Sure.
let's keep living in the van.
Yeah.
And I had to turn my old job down multiple times. We could have changed our trajectory. Now, in hindsight, the things that I'm doing now, the mission that I'm leading now, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Mhm.
But it came at a hard cost
Sure.
of giving a yes to something that made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
I think one of the freeing parts of that, though, that I think we need to add to the talk that we don't do very much, is letting go of the fear of hearing wrong,
Mm.
supposedly.
Yeah.
And if you feel, that's how you learn the voice of God. If you're, sometimes you get it wrong.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
good.
that's
And
right.
that's when you know.
That's when
And
you
that's
learn.
when you can compare it.
Yeah.
And so letting go of that,
Yeah.
we actually had a lady at our church tell us, well, if you go and it doesn't work out, just come back.
Yeah.
And it was like, duh. Like, it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world. None of this is like the end of your story. And so if you feel God prompting you to do something, do it.
Yeah.
One, it's obedience. Even if you get it wrong, you're aiming to obey God. Like
Well-
you're aiming to listen to
Yeah.
his voice and obey.
Well, I think that the only way you know whether you have a good parent or not
Mm.
is when you mess up. If you're always doing good, well, as a parent, it's really easy to just give your kid a pat on the back and say that they're
Mhm.
doing really well. But when they totally tank and do the wrong thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's in that moment whether you know you have a good dad or mom or a bad dad or bad mom. If they
Mhm.
blow up and kick you out and do all the
Yeah.
things, then you probably don't have a great person that's for you.
Yeah.
So for us, it was more like we're going to trust that we've heard God and that if this all is wrong, he's still a good dad and he's not
Yeah,
going to
he
kick
is.
us out. Like that's the
Yeah.
freeing piece, I think,
Yeah.
that what we would tell.
Yeah.
So now we really want to kind of, if possible, get into the weeds on some of the things that you guys did intentionally. When the kids start getting to be teenagers, was there ever a moment that either individually or collectively you looked at this and you're like, okay, things are changing. I have to change the way I parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say that, and this may be some encouragement to somebody that's younger that's listening to this. There are some things, and we'll go into, that we did strategically and things like that. But in the moment, I don't know that I had full clarity that things were changing and life was happening. I just adapted. Once again, back to our foundational piece. Every day is going to be better than the day before. So if for some reason the kids were doing something that day that wasn't real great, well, the next day we're going to try to fix it. And it's what we can now say is 25 years, 28 years of marriage, but 25 years of having children. Every little increment change happened over the time. And it's real easy for us to sit in this chair and say, well, we did this and we changed this.
I know.
But when you're in the middle of it, you're
You
just
don't see
trying
it.
to make it work, right? So I don't know that I had a clear.
No, the one that got me was realizing I cannot make them do anything. You know, when they're toddlers, when they're little, you can make them go to their room. You can make them sit on a timeout. All these things. They hit teenage years.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that they live in your house. You cannot, it's just different. I guess you can still say, go to your room and, you know, but once they get out of your house, they have their driver's license, they have jobs. There is a serious lack of control.
Yeah.
Well,
And you have to go back to the foundations of how you've raised them and just trust God. I have done everything I can to instill good morals, to instill the word of God, to instill listening to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Common sense. And just also know they're hormonal teenage boys, specifically, because our daughter was an angel, but hormonal teenage boys.
Still is.
And they're going to do stupid things.
And they don't have their frontal lobes fully developed until 27.
And that just is what
when
it
that
is.
hit me, I remember thinking, dear God, what are we going to do? Like, they're teenagers, and I don't know if I read it, but that was frightening.
Yeah.
On a lot of levels for me.
I think that's really what I'm trying to get at is the relationship that you have with your kids is amazing.
It is.
And I do get to visit with a lot of empty nest families, and they don't have what you guys have. And so we could say that it was in the moment, but I also know how intentional you both are. So at the end of the day, you have amazing relationships, and definitely want to get into like some of the things you do at Christmas or, you know, just open invites with no guilt, no pressure. But I got to believe that there's more to it than you were just in the moment.
Yeah. So I asked, as Jen was talking, I thought of something else. And because I don't like to have lack of control over things, it's as Jen will point out, sometimes that becomes an issue too. But this whole fly by the seat of our pants and never know when the change is going to happen. I started having a struggle with that when my oldest was probably 10 or 11. And I wanted to have an intentional coming of age time, right? And I didn't know how to control that because everybody's going to come of age at a time. But what we did is we made a commitment to pray and ask, when is their coming of age time?
Yeah.
And we would have a ceremony. It was a big deal. I mean, Alex's was the first one that we did, and it's called a bar barakah. And it's like the bar mitzvah for the Jewish culture, but it's a Christian expression of that. And we had a big party, and we invited everybody and had a band and just really blew it up. And at that point, it was all of the community coming together to speak life over him. And I made a commitment in that room to begin to treat my oldest differently from this moment forward. I started recognizing up to this point, I have had control in your life. And I said this, I have had control in your life. And I am giving you limited control. I want to open up and you can talk to me about things, but I can't dictate anymore. And that was 12, 13.
He was 13.
He was 13. And every one of our kids has had that.
Yeah.
We have those ceremonies. Even when we were in the van life, we had it for Jack. But yeah, I guess coming back to that that's one intentionality where we said, we need to take a control and mark a moment so that you understand we are going to treat you differently on this side. Now that involved a whole nother process where after that, when things would happen, I would have a different conversation with them instead of, you're in trouble, I told you to do.
Yeah.
what are your values? Why are you making that choice? Like now I'm having a coaching dialogue with them, and man, is that ever hard.
Yeah.
Like that transition from you do it because I told you to, but I wanted that to happen at 12 or 13, not 18 when the stakes are higher.
Yeah, that was another thing that we were very intentional about, is starting these conversations with them still in our house.
Yes.
Instead of dealing with it on their way to college. And they're needing to make these decisions and talk these things, but they don't know who to talk to. And so I feel like it felt like we were giving it to them too early, but I also felt like they need to fail with us.
Yes.
Like they need to fail when they can still come home to mom and dad and have somewhere safe.
Yeah.
And they're not on their own with a mortgage or with rent and, everything crashes and burns. And then, just to mitigate the loss as much as we can.
Well, and give
I wouldn't say
them,
we're perfect, but at all.
give them experience in failing.
Yeah.
Because when you do everything and you try to keep your kids from failing and they get a certain age and they don't have experience with how to bounce back from that or how to deal with that when the stakes are high, it is a crash and burn. And it's not just them, it's the whole family.
Yes.
Right.
You go through it too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's so wise and so smart.
Yeah. It's scary though.
It is very scary. Yes.
It's not fun.
And it takes time.
Right.
It takes so much more time to sit down and have those conversations
Yeah.
rather than say, you shouldn't have done this. You're in trouble. You're grounded for 2 weeks.
We talk about that a lot. We say it's easy, but it's harder on the back end, but it's so much easier to say you should have done it this way.
Yes.
Right.
And now it's a 3-second conversation. We're done. We move on.
Right.
As opposed to the way you two just described it, it might take 5, 10, 15 minutes, which again, in the big scheme of things, that doesn't sound like a lot, but 3 seconds versus 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's intentionality.
Yeah.
Well, and that opened the door to, as they got a little bit older, when they would make these choices that we didn't agree with, I would find myself pop off and just try to handle it in 3 seconds. Like, let's just, because this is really, and then later we'd have a conversation and I would have to say, look, I was acting out of fear. So you have to know yourself in this situation.
Yeah.
I said, I was acting out of fear. I was afraid when you said that you were going to go do X, that made me afraid. And that's not a good decision making. So let's talk this out. Why? Here are my concerns. Here are my fears. And let's have an adult conversation, but they're not adults. That's the piece. Like you're saying, Lance, it's so much easier to handle it in 3 seconds. The problem with that is you are not raising adults. You are raising children.
Yeah.
And this is some of a problem in our culture today. Dave Ramsey talks about, you don't want to enable your kids through, I want to co-sign this and get you something that you can't handle. Well, there's an emotional side of that too, that you will co-sign some things into life for your kids that they can't handle.
Yeah.
That's really good.
They've never built the critical thinking skills.
You
to get
emotionally co-sign things for your kid. Like there's such a strong spiritual component in the spirit realm to that.
Yep.
Like that just literally stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
Like even now with adult children, if I come into agreement with fear,
Right.
I don't want to, that's the same thing. I don't want to put that out there. I don't want to partner with that over the life of one of my children.
Right. And it's so easy to do because you just have your heart in it so deep.
Yes.
These are your kids. I mean, this is, and they are now, it's that whole challenge too. Now your kids are bringing home kids. And now you're like, oh my goodness, I have some ideas around that.
Yes. I know.
But you have to sit back and even if you shared your ideas, the reality is everything you have done to form them is done.
Yeah.
So now it's time to ride along. And if things do go south, you're there. You're there to help.
And trust God. Like this is where the rubber meets the road. Do I really trust him?
Yep.
When I dedicated my babies to him, when I prayed all the prayers and still pray the prayers, do I really trust you? Or am I yanking this back into my jurisdiction to try to deal with it like I think it needs to be dealt with?
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a tough thing. That's tough to look in the mirror and realize, man, I can say it, but do I really trust him?
Yeah, this is back to that co-signing thing. Instead of co-signing some level of confidence that they are going to have because they were actually leaning on you, if you raise intentional kids that co-signing happens when they're in that safe zone. And then when they're out and they're bringing home their own babies, then you're going to trust that they have their own relationship with God, that they have their own relationship with their emotions, and that they're going to do it.
Yeah. One of the other things I specifically was intentional about was being honest with what I was feeling spiritually. Like if I felt like it was a warning from God, or because I wanted them to know if I was wrong also. And that was scary too, to put that in, like to be that vulnerable. But, you know, there were a lot of times they wanted to do something and I just didn't feel like they should. And I didn't have a reason. And, you know, they want a reason, especially the boys. Isabella did too.
Bring
but
me the
especially
data.
the boys.
Yes.
Why? Why
Jack
don't
was
you
the
want
one
me?
for
Jack.
us on that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I finally was like, you know what? I'm just going to let him know that my spirit does not have peace about this. I do not think you should do it. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't know what's going to happen, if anything. I don't feel good about it. And so that's what I would go to. And I would just be honest. I do not have good logical reason. My spirit just does not feel good about you doing that.
Did they go along with that, or were there times that they did it anyway? And something happened that
almost always did it anyway. Almost always.
Yeah.
And then things would happen. Isabella actually was just telling me the other day about it was a Halloween party, and it was when Hope UC had just started, and we were up in the big barn at the Bunny Barn property, and we were doing a fun little trunk or treat inside. Just, I don't know, maybe 25, 50 of us together. It wasn't that big of a group, but she really wanted to go off because her friends from school were having this party, and I told her, I don't think you should do that. I think you should just stay here with us. No, I really want to do that. They really want me to go. And she said she kind of felt the whole time like probably I was right and she should stay, but she went anyway. And she said in the middle of all of it, nothing bad happened. It was just she didn't feel right the whole time, like she was with the wrong people. And so that stuck with her. And she said, I remember thinking from then on, if my mom tells me she doesn't feel like something's a good idea, she's probably right.
Yeah.
But I think to your credit,
1 of 4 is not bad, right?
I think to your credit, though, I remember times where you would, because the kids would call her Spirit Joe, because like whatever.
Why Joe?
I don't know.
They decided my nickname was Joe during some weird game night.
You know why? Joe Mama.
Yeah,
Joe Mama. Yeah, that's it. Maybe that's
Joe
what it
Mama.
is.
Joe Mama.
But even that, like her grandmother name, now it seems to be popular that you indoctrinate your grandchildren into calling you something.
Yes.
You don't let them decide. You just tell them.
Yeah.
Her tell them is JoJo. So the kids call her Spirit Joe because she would always lead with that component of herself, and I love that component of herself. But I think to your credit, the reality is there were times where it wasn't even right on your side, but you own that too.
Oh,
and I think this is one of the challenges I have with even or religion is when you get it wrong, own it.
Own it. Yes.
And as parents, you did that at every level, but you did it on that spiritual side too, which caused them to even value it more, right? Because she's not perfect. She just tried and it wasn't good. And so own your screw ups.
Well, it's important. Think about how important it is for our kids to see that mom or dad got something wrong and like we lived through it.
Yep.
And you humble yourself and you apologize and you move on. Like the whole world didn't come crashing down. The stock market didn't shut down overnight. Like life goes on.
Yeah.
But I don't know that kids see that often, you know? And there's fear behind it as a parent.
Yeah.
Being that vulnerable with your kids. Yeah. 'Cause you wonder, am I going to lose any credibility in their eyes? I still have to parent them, you know, I don't know.
Yep.
It's a lot of just swallowing your ego. It's leadership 101, right? You're always there for the people that you're leading.
Yes.
And in your family situation, if the goal is to raise good, healthy, balanced people, part of the learning is what not to do.
Yeah.
And that's the best business advice I ever got. Was the first time I took an executive level position, my direct manager said, "Look, you're going to learn a lot from me." And at first I thought, "Oh wow, here we go." He said, most of it's going to be learning what not to do because I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to get frustrated at something I'm not doing and miss the learning opportunity, because I'm telling you some things I'm going to do right and some things I'm going to do wrong.
Yeah.
And if you take that concept, it doesn't matter if you're leading a team or if you're leading a family, and you allow people to learn from the wrongs. 9 times out of 10, we get bitter about the wrongs. It should never have been done. But what if we look at it as a learning opportunity and teach our children to look at those as that too?
That's so good.
Yeah. John Maxwell's book. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Yeah, there you go.
And we've talked before about falling on the sword. In the corporate world, it's almost like a given. You fall on the sword so you can retain the client or whatever it is. Yeah. But what you're basically talking about too is you fall on the sword for your kids.
Right.
And you let them learn from that.
Yeah, because the end goal is not to have them feel like mom and dad are the best ever.
Right.
The end goal is for them to be confident in their own language, in their own voice, in their own body. That's the end goal for me.
Yeah.
And if that means I look silly sometimes.
Yeah. My goal as a parent wasn't ever, I wouldn't say it was like best mom ever. Be the best mom to them that I could be. Like aim for that. But even more than that, that they just knew no matter what they did, I loved them and would do anything for them.
Yes.
So whether I was right, whether I was wrong, whether they were right or wrong, they knew mom loves me.
Yeah.
And so, and I feel like when you cover that, that does make you the best.
Yeah.
And so
the best for them.
Yes, for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we've always had real talk in our family. So it's
rather shocking.
Yeah. Sometimes it's definitely shocking for the kids that you always said that you can't choose your family, but your kids actually can choose your family because they're going to choose a spouse, and now they're all in.
Yeah.
So there are conversations as the new spouses move into the family about how bold are we all going to be around the table now, because this person may not have that frame. Jen said it. We always let them know you are 100% loved. Nothing you do is going to make you more loved.
Yeah.
Nothing you do is going to make you less loved. But our family motto is, as the kids have now told, we didn't have this, but now in hindsight, they told us our family motto was do better. So
super healthy, guys. Super
better.
healthy.
But they're quick to point out that it's not do better to earn something.
Yeah.
You're already loved. You are 100% loved. If you killed somebody, you're still loved the same amount. Doesn't matter to us on that. But you can do better. Like you should be constantly improving. So I always talk, even to this day, it's now a leadership piece of mine for businesses that I lead. But my kids all know it too. There are 3 things that you are going to be doing every day, or you're going to hear from me. One is physical exercise. You're going to move yourself every day. You're going to learn something new, and you're going to develop spiritually.
Yeah.
Those 3 things, that's do better. Non-negotiable. And if things start going south, and now we're talking about, I'm not doing this as well, I always circle back to, how are you doing in the 3 things? 9 times out of 10, I'm not really doing those 3 things.
Something's missing.
Yeah.
Something's missing.
Yeah.
It's funny though, like that didn't come up until they were older. Like we didn't necessarily raise them that way. So this is all stuff like to give people hope. Like you don't have to start this when they're little.
Yeah.
Like we didn't go on these family walks when they were little and do all this physical activity.
Yeah.
I mean, we did sometimes, but it wasn't a daily routine that we all got out and were physical and did all this stuff. This was as they grew. We realized the importance of this intentional time and have been encouraging them in that.
That's really
it's an evolution.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's what I'm seeing is there's an evolution. And as you evolve, just to use that really nice religious word that everybody loves, as you evolve, you start filling in different pieces. But what I'm here, the thread going back to when they were little is communication.
Yeah.
You gave them a voice, you communicated, you had conversations, even when they were little.
Yeah.
And that opens up a world for as you evolve and as they grow, you put different pieces in place, and those become your family mottos.
This is another one of those things that you're just what you said caused me to flash back. So I have on my phone I've kept an iPhone this whole time. So all voice memos that I've ever had are in there, and I would play games with them on the floor, and I would do voice memo of it because I just wanted to hear the dynamic of it. And at the time, it didn't seem like that big of a deal. But now as I listen back, it was communication. It's a game. I don't love games, so I'm not a game night person.
Yeah.
But my kids, I played games with them, and I would hear the dynamic of what they're sharing, and things would come out. And I always have those voice memos to go back to remind me. I'll send it to them sometimes. It's like, this is your personality, but you're only 6. Like, now that's who you are today. And I champion that, but I'm still using tools. And this is the piece I just want your listeners to hear. Once again, we are 28 years into marriage. Our kids are adults. It's easy for us to sit here and say, here's the strategy that we did, and here's how. When you're in the middle of it, it probably doesn't feel like you're doing anything to move the needle forward.
Yep.
But I just want to encourage your listener, you are. Just the little acts every day stack up over time, and you're going to be able to look back and say, that shifted for my kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, hallelujah, it worked.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Or we're still intact. Or
Yeah.
my kids still talk to me. We
Yes.
still like each
Yeah.
other.
Yes.
You know, there's so much.
Yep.
It's the long game.
Yep.
We talk about that a lot.
Yep.
The long game.
Yep.
You're not in it for just the short term.
No. You're not in it
wins.
to win.
You're not.
It's like to make a point.
Yes.
What is the point of winning?
Lance is in it.
We're not talking game night.
Are we not?
Like to win as in getting your way or making your point.
Yes.
Like that's not the win. The win is the long game, like being together, your children wanting to see you. That's the win. So it feels like losses in some places because you feel like a failure sometimes to keep that relationship.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask about your calendar and transitioning from the calendar being really revolving around the children to now empty nest. It's almost got to re-anchor. But I want to jump on what you just said.
Yeah.
What do you do to create an environment that your adult children want to spend time with you?
So I unfortunately got to observe a lot of things in my parents' relationships with their parents. And it was a lot of guilt, a lot of holding things over their heads. Just that, I guess, in a nutshell, is like holding things over their heads. Like, oh, do you remember I did this for you? No, you have to do this.
False obligation.
Yeah.
So kind of like your leadership story, some things you do now is because you learn what not to do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so I thought, I never want the kids to feel like they have to come see me because I'm holding something over their head, like some obligation, like, well, I did this for you, so now you have to come see me. Or when they walk in the door, let them know how long it's been since I last saw them. Or, it just that kind of stuff, heaping guilt with it. Yeah. And so I try to be really careful of my words, that I'm not, like, we just realized we haven't seen Alex in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's been. And
that's rare. Usually
and
we see
that's
him at least
very rare.
once a
We've seen
week.
Cassie and the babies, but we haven't seen Alex just because he's been working. And so the other day I was like, I haven't seen him in a really long time. And so I didn't text him and say, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. Where have you been? I just texted what was in my heart. I was like, I miss you. I miss your face. And I just want you to know that. And I love you. And that's all I said. And he said, can I come over on Friday? So it's, I think that's what it's been, is just keeping it, letting them know we love them. And if your life is that busy, that's okay. Like if you have to keep working and you can't stop in, that's okay. I get it. But I miss you. And I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
I think
I guess that's what it's been.
One of the pieces I love about what you have done, though, this is that Spirit Joe, and she carries such a love, and it's so much so that in high school, the kids would actually they would say, "Oh, I've got this friend. I just want to bring them over. Mom, can you just hug them?"
Oh,
because there's her hugs are very healing for them. So there's that component of things. But one of the things that I think that has been super impactful for the kids is she just said, "Hey, we're going to do dinner." She'll say, "We're doing dinner. If you can come, you can come. And if not, you can't. No obligation." And our oldest, who has 2 kids, was there, and almost every one of the dinners they're there. But you remember how it is when the babies and somebody's going to make food, and you're like, "What? I don't have to worry about food. And somebody's going to play with the kids because we love having the kids. There. And Alex was more like, oh, man, why don't the other siblings value this as much? And I had to stop him and say, look, their life is different right now.
It is.
The free meal is not so important when you don't have little kids.
Yeah.
But as time progresses, but we at Jen's leading have never put a pressure on that meal. We might have leftovers in the freezer for 3 or 4 days because they didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not, they never know that.
Yeah.
Right? We just made the meal.
They're going to know it now.
Yeah. Right. Oh, sorry.
If they listen, if they care enough.
They're probably not going to listen. They're not anywhere near the empty nest. So this is like, this doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I just think it's so beautiful. And I know one of the stories that I recently heard was like, even before Christmas, I know we just had the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
It's January.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you handle, because we all know holidays change, especially 3 out of your 4 kids are married.
Yep.
Right.
And so you got all these other families that you got to work around.
Yeah.
What was it that made your Christmas? Like you said to them.
I check in every year and say, what is the day that's going to work for everybody?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even have to be Christmas.
Yeah.
Just whatever is going to work for you guys. So it's not stressful, because Christmas is not meant to be stressful.
No,
this
it's
is a
not.
time of thanking the Lord for all that he's done for us and gathering together as a family and thanking him for that. And we do not have to do that on December 25th.
Yeah.
It's nice to, because that's tradition and all that, but we don't have to. And so I just check in, and Christmas evening is Christmas Day in the evening is what works. But I let them know every time, if we need to switch, that's okay, because you need to be with your other families.
Yeah.
I also, Christmas morning is important for me, for them to be together as their own family unit, especially as they begin having children. I want their children to experience magical Christmas mornings with their mom and dad and their siblings.
Yeah.
So I encourage all of them, keep your Christmas morning precious for your family unit.
Yeah.
And then whatever outside of that, it works.
Yeah.
Well, I think
we'll do whatever we need to.
Acknowledging that when other people come into the family, there are outside pressures. Like you said, it's like this. I talk to people over the holiday, and they're like their 5th Christmas in one day.
Yeah.
You know, they're eating all these meals and doing all it is exhausting. So we can't control what the expectation is around our kids and their relationships, but we can control the relationship they have here.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, more than Christmas, I value the Thursday dinner that's going to happen the next week and the next week and the next week.
Yeah.
So if I give up a Christmas for all of those other Thursdays, gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that they don't have to have any pressure. They don't have to think, now I got to go to mom and dad's and have another dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want that pressure on them. I want them to have freedom to do what they need to.
Yeah. And that's such a good father. That's like, I think in relation to our Heavenly Father, like the pressure I put on myself, he doesn't want that for me. Just like we don't want the pressure on our kids. And the beauty too of your family is that everyone lives in close proximity.
Yes, we are very blessed.
That is a
right
rarity these days.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, just because we track on the Apple iPhone, the 6 miles is the furthest any one of the kids is from my front door.
So your kids let you track them?
Yes, they do. Oh. Yeah, they actually sent us invites for their locations.
Guess how many of my children let me track them?
Uh-oh.
1. Only 1.
Is it the
because
baby?
he lives? No, he lives. It's Logan. He lives in Atlanta.
Oh.
But he had to turn it off for the Turks trip because he didn't want.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Sure.
And it bugged me because I was like,
it messed her up.
what is he? Why?
That's
what
even
happened?
more fuel for what you
so
did.
much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
To begin to land this, let's say that there are couples here with children still at home. How would you encourage them to begin even now building those relationships that's going to be vital for them, life-giving later?
I would say from myself, there's all these strategies and there's books you can read and do all of these amazing things. And I think that's important to do your due diligence in that. But don't put so much pressure on yourself to do the performance of that. The most important thing is that your kids know they're loved.
Yeah.
Point blank, period. So if you're going to strategize around that, make sure that you are pouring life into them. You are listening to them. That's the most important part. Now, there's some strategies that you can do and checking in and the stuff we've talked about. Feel free to incorporate those in, but don't put so much pressure on yourself. Sometimes I think that I see these young parents putting so much pressure to put what the book said or what the person said that they forget these are little people.
Yep.
Like they just need to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And
some of it might feel weird at first if you've not ever made a routine of it. So like praying for your kids individually, not just pray as a family too, but all of that. If it feels weird, if it's nothing you've ever made a routine of, it feels disingenuous a little bit. You just got to press through that.
Yeah.
Because even though we grew up in the church, we didn't used to pray over each other. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time we started praying over each other, it was like, this is really weird. I can't look at you while I pray for you. And now just the other day I was praying over him and I looked him right in the eyes the whole time I was praying for him. So press through that discomfort and do that. Bless your kids before they go to school. Or if you're homeschooling, before you start school, bless them each individually. Sit down and make family dinners intentional. Put your phones away, turn off the TV, and even as awkward as it might be, go ahead and leave silence for conversation to happen. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, find something that anchors you together. It might not be a board game. Our kids have always loved playing video games together. And so it's not always a board game. Sometimes it's sitting down and it's still Mario stuff. So they sit down and do that. I think those things. And then we've always dated our kids. So we will each go out on a date with them individually.
What age were they when you started doing that?
10.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Little.
Kids still at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep. And so we would say, let's go get ice cream or go get their favorite meal. Whatever it was.
And all of them remember at least the boys remember the traumatic date with Dad where we had to have the conversation about birds and bees and all of that stuff. To this day, they still have that trauma around
trauma trigger.
Yeah. But I think that coming back to the important things that you can do, this is something that blessed us recently. It seemed like a small thing when we were doing it. At night, we would have a ritual where we would sing this song that we'd made up, say Bible verses that we would do.
Our family Bible
verses. And there's our family Bible verses. Each one of the kids, we'd do it. It's a whole routine at night. You got to go into this room and then this room and then the bunk bed, and you got to do the whole thing. And recently we were putting our grandson down for bed, and he said he wanted to do the song. And then he sang the whole song.
Oh.
He does the Bible verses that we did.
Carrying on the tradition.
He's but we didn't even know that they were putting that in them. So for us, it was both like, whoa. I know. Well, we're putting him to bed, and he's trying to do all the songs and stuff that we did with our kids. We'd almost forgotten that we did them. But that's the legacy that you're putting in those little things.
Mm-hmm. we on the last podcast, there was something that I said that reminded me of this. The things that you two are modeling becomes normal for your children and becomes an investment in your grandchildren.
Yeah.
And you just exemplified that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because it's normal. You modeled it.
Yeah. Yep.
And when you were talking about praying for them each night, reminds me of the story in the legacy book with Jonathan and Sarah Edwards. When they prayed over there, and then it's got the whole study of what was their lineage. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Massive impact by what you just described there.
Yeah.
So the last question is, we assume the room now has new empty nesters in it. What would you do to encourage them to build or reestablish maybe relationship with their adult children?
I would say a hard look at your life. This is where you have to really know yourself. There's a concept I like it in business. It's an after action analysis. And that's where you stop and you critically look back. What did you do? How did you do it? There's no shame. Shouldn't be any shame about if you didn't do it right. But there would be shame if you didn't own it.
Yeah.
So if you're at that emptiness stage, I would say get together with your spouse, have a dinner where you just kind of process through. What are we responsible for that we need to own up to at this point? And if it's you're tempted to put pressure on them to show up, if you're wanting to have that type of stuff, have that and then talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I'm sorry for this or that, whatever that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my encouragement. Once again, it's transparency and that they know they're loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. date your kids.
Yeah.
And it sounds weird, but that's the best way for me to say it is to just ask them. But I'll text them individually and say, hey, do you have time for a mom date? Or can I?
What if they live far away?
Then hopefully they're up for like a FaceTime or something, just
true.
to see their face and spend and no expectation other than what's going on in your life. And that's usually what I say. So what's going on?
Yeah.
What do you got going on? What are your days looking like?
Yeah.
Isabella, of course, works nearby. And so I know Mondays she gets off earlier in the day. And so I'll text her and I'll say, can I kidnap you? And I'll take her and go do, a fun store and a meal or whatever. And then the boys, it's harder with Alex because, he's a dad. So usually date night looks like everybody coming to our house. It's the whole family.
I take that too.
Yes.
I was like, the more the better.
Yes.
Well, the other thing this is another piece that's happened over time is I kind of learned to cut hair. Well, the boys will at least once a month come by and
they
get
still want you to cut their hair.
Yep. So when I get a haircut, I get to catch up one-on-one on all of this stuff. So I also strategically try to make myself of value in their life, right? I'm not just wanting you to spend time with me. I worked on a skill so that I have
you. Did you go to barber school, or did you just learn to cut hair?
I just learned to cut hair.
Oh.
So all my kids' haircuts, Jen cuts mine. So we can do better.
I'm thinking of your kids' hair, and I've never, I think if you were a really bad hair cutter, I would notice at church, and no. Interesting.
I'm not a really bad hair cutter.
Yeah.
But because our family motto is, you can do better.
You can do better. There you go. That's amazing. I love that.
I do Jen's hair too, just so you know.
It's true. Yeah. He does do my hair, for real.
And your daughter-in-law.
And my daughter-in-law.
You're talking about not putting guilt and pressure. One thing I noticed with our boys, anytime we do, it's like a repellent.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So if you do and I know it depends on personality styles, but when we make it no pressure, no guilt, it's like a magnet.
Yeah.
It draws them more in because they know it's okay and it's safe to say no.
Yep.
And we're not going to be offended.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like, they get life from that. So I love that piece.
Well, this is another piece I would give to empty nesters or young people with children is date your spouse too. Because the reality is the only reason we can say it's okay if you come or you don't come is because we actually love hanging out with each other. We're best friends.
Yeah.
And so if they don't show up, I'm hanging out with my best friend.
Yeah. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So good.
So if you don't have that, then you're going to put pressure on your kids to show up because they are now your de facto best friend.
Yeah.
I made sure that she's my best friend.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Any final questions from you?
No.
Anybody?
I just love that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to sit with people because I feel like we have a lot in common, but we're so different. But I can trace some similarities. We didn't do things the exact same way, but there's some similar proof points in our life and in your life. And I don't know, it's just like, I just think it's really cool. It's really cool to see the fruit of all of that because we get to see, because all your kids go to our church.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get to see the fruit of it. So this isn't just we're puffing it all up. This is like, no, this actually will, it doesn't guarantee that your kids are going to grow up and you're going to go to the same church and live in the same town and all the things. But boy, it sure, you know, it's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
So
it's a blessing.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't know. I just love that you guys are friends and that, we get to hang out and have you on our show. And in the process, we get to encourage, families wherever they are in whatever stage of life. Because that's what when I look back, that's what I really needed.
Yeah.
I needed someone who was further down the line, and God provided that in real time. But sometimes you just need someone that can say, just keep going.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't give up.
Right.
This will pay off.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just don't know how, but I promise you, it's going to be okay.
For some reason this year, probably the last 3 or 4 months, I guess, that's really been highlighted in my life is to not ignore the mundane.
Yeah.
Like that's really where treasure is.
Yeah, it is.
Is in the mundane. Just keep going, keep planting those seeds. And
you get tired planting another seed and no stinking plants growing out of there, but it will. And,
I know.
Yeah. So, those nightly prayers that you're like bedtime takes an hour and a half. It is exhausting. I remember being exhausted and just being like, please go to bed. I just need quiet time. Please go to bed. But now it's so precious.
Yeah.
It is.
It's so precious to look back, but acknowledge the exhaustion, but keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So good. So
Anything
good.
else? Anybody?
No, thank you for having us. It's been
Yeah.
great.
This was a lot of fun. We like you guys.
Well, we like.
Thanks for being our friends.
I know.
Taking on these weirdos, being their friends.
Hey, we're all weirdos.
Yeah.
Like if you don't think you're a weirdo, that's your first mistake right there, because we're all weirdos,
This is true.
So,
That's right.
yeah. Thanks again.
All right.
All right. Welch
Welch
out. That was